nothing last week guarantees you anything this week.
We got to move forward and kind of flush that one and get our eyes on Detroit.
They're a dangerous team. We're a dangerous team, too.
It's been a while since we referred to the Jaguars as a dangerous team. Welcome into Teal, the show. I'm Jamal St. Cyr alongside Frank Frangie. Frank, the Jaguars got a huge win last week, but as you heard the guys say to start the show, that's in the past, and now they've got a big test on Sunday against the Lions.
Yeah, they really do. It's the Lions team that's playing pretty well, too. It's the team that started the season 1-6, then has won 3 of their last 4, so they're playing at a very high level right now. So it's a better Lions team that began the season. The two teams playing very well on offense. It's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, one of the things that you can take from maybe last week's win is a confidence boost. The Jaguars had struggled in some of those close games all year long, but November they kind of flipped the script on that. 2 close football games, won both of them against the Las Vegas Raiders and against the Baltimore Ravens. So maybe some of that confidence can carry over to the field on Sunday.
It's a huge confidence booster because once you've been in situations like that and have overcome situations like that, coming back and beating a team, then you felt that before, so you know how to get the job done. So all you do, you fall back in your training, man, and you just revert back to, how we were able to get the job done in previous games that we were in similar situations.
It's 1 of 6. So I think if we can just keep it there for what it is, use it the right way, still learn from it correctly, I think it could be great for momentum moving forward. But
as you mentioned to start the show, Frank, the Lions playing some pretty good football, and part of that is their number 2 overall draft pick from last year's draft, Aiden Hutchinson. Of course, the Jaguars had the number 1 overall pick and took Trayvon Walker. Aiden Hutchinson not exactly happy that he went number 2.
Now, he's talked about that. And look, he's that guy. He's a playful guy a little bit. And he said, yeah, I'm going to use that as motivation because I thought I was going to go first overall. Now, he's got 5.5 sacks. He's a more pure pass rusher. That's what he is. And he's playing at a good level for them. Trayvon Walker's playing pretty well, too. He does different things. But I'm not surprised by that. Aiden's having some fun with it. That's what he's supposed to say. He said, I'm going to continue to use that as motivation. That has no effect on this football game. It's 2 good football players. It's going to be a good game between the Lions and the Jags.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson has always been a highly motivated guy, and as you mentioned, kind of playful with it. But the Jaguars do give him a very short list of teams to remember that passed on him.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be cool, man. Jags are obviously the one team that passed on me, so that'll definitely be in the back of my head, playing that game. I'm in a good situation here, and I'm happy, but, draft day, you still remember, and, that will stick with me forever. I thought I was going there for about 3 months, and then a week before the draft, something changed. I guess my arms were just not quite long enough, but that hit right a week before draft, so, I mean, we'll see if that inch or a couple inches, was the difference. I guess they just didn't really see me in their system, so that's fine by me. Detroit did, so I'm here now.
We'll see if those short arms can help him make some plays on the field against the Jaguars on Sunday. One thing that you'll notice as you sit and watch the game on Sunday is some very different looking cleats than maybe you see every week. It's My Cause, My Cleats week, which the NFL does once a year, lets players wear some of the causes and things that are close to them on their cleats. The coaches are getting involved too. The whole Peterson family will be wearing some very special shoes. This is always a good time of year. It's great to see some of the things that are close to the hearts of many of the players.
It's one of the coolest things not only the NFL does, Jamal, but I think it's one of the coolest things we see in sports. The opportunity for players to say, this is what matters to me. This is who matters to me. This is who I want to help. I think it's a really cool thing. Players want to help. These guys are good guys. They really are. We've gotten to know these guys. They want to help causes. They want to tell you about the causes that are important to them. That's real. They're not just doing it because, well, everyone's doing it, so I've got to put something on my cleats. It matters to these guys. And I think it's one of the coolest things in sports, not just the NFL.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite weeks. I got to talk to some of the guys in the locker rooms about why their cleats are important to them earlier in the week.
Oh, man, it was amazing. We came up with the idea to do something for my dad this year. And, my dad had a big impact on the community back home. So just seeing the picture and how great the paintings came out and stuff, it was amazing. So I was blown away. Extremely special, man. He plays a pivotal role in why I'm here today. And, he's been there for me since, I started playing the game at 4 years old. So having him on my cleats is huge.
My grandmother, she's no longer with us. She passed, but it's the Alzheimer's Association. Jenny Carolyn was her name. We called her Nani, though. She was so precious. I told them earlier she was like the heartbeat of our family, so it's just to honor her memory.
With pancreatic cancer, obviously, brings awareness to the what I dealt with my brother and going through that with my family, and so my wife and I, our whole family's going to have shoes on, to help, bring awareness to that, and obviously remember my brother, during this time. But everybody's got something that they can sort of hang their hat on.
And after the game's over, after the players have worn those cleats, many of them will be auctioned off, with the funds from the auction going toward the funding those causes that the players have on their cleats on the field on Sunday. Teal Show will continue right after the break. We'll talk a little bit more about Sunday's matchup and what the Jaguars have to do to pull out a win. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back into Teal the Show. All right, it's time to talk a little bit about Sunday's game. Frank, one of the guys that's on the other side of that field knows the Jaguars very well, Mark Brunell, quarterback coach for the Lions these days. Used to work here at Channel 4. Now he's hanging out in Detroit. I think he's enjoying it with the Lions. But it's going to be kind of odd for him to stand on that other sideline and see the Jaguars as the opponent.
It'll be an interesting game for him, no question about that. And he has a lot of great friends here. Tony Baselli, probably his best friend on the broadcast crew. But he's done a great job up there. Apart from being our guy and the guy we like so much, his name's on the stadium here, he's done a really good job with Jared Goff. He's a good coach. On top of a guy that's everything he did here in Jacksonville, he's a good football coach. I think he's got he's going to be coaching in that league for a long time. Jared Goff was just okay, a very high draft pick that wasn't playing great, and he's playing really well right now. And the Lions are good offensively. They're a top 10 offense now. They're playing very well. Jared Goff's playing very well, and I think Mark Brunell's got an awful lot to do with that. I really do.
Yeah, this Lions offense doing a lot of good things. They're scary. They have the tools around the field that they can give any defense problems. One of the things that really kind of worries you when you look at this Lions offense on paper is that running game. They have a big physical offensive line, and then Swift and Williams in the backfield. Both of those guys have been toting the rock this year.
Well, they've got balance. What you really want in the NFL is balance. You don't want to be an all-running team. The Ravens were a team that was going to run it more than they threw it. Some teams throw it more than they run it. The Chiefs, this is a team that has balance. You always concern yourself with a team that's got a lot of balance, and certainly this team does.
All right, one of the things on the defense from last week that's going to carry over, we're going to see Chad Moom in the starting lineup again. Devin Lloyd played some significant snaps last week, and we'll see how the Lions approach kind of goes along with that. One of the other things that kind of caught us by surprise last week was Trey Herndon was inactive. They moved up Buster Brown and Campbell in that opposite corner spot. So some switches of the chess pieces going on that defense this year, or this week.
Yeah, a couple things to note on this. First of all, with the Chad Muma thing, we talked about this last week. They've got to figure out what they've got. Chad Muma is a more natural inside linebacker. Devin Lloyd might be a guy that plays outside more. He may be a guy that's a situational pass rusher some. He's probably more versatile, but I don't know that he's as good at inside linebacker as Chad Muma. He played very well. Muma earned a second start, and I think he's going to start the rest of the way. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. He's a good, tough-nosed physical player. He also knows where to line up. That helps Foye Oluokun not have to be as involved in lining everybody up because Chad Muma can help the cause there. I think that's a big part of it. As for Tavon Campbell being up instead of Trey Herndon, they need more speed on the field, Jamal. They have not been a fast team. You've got to be fast on that back end. They were not a fast secondary. Buster Brown can run. Campbell can run. You know Tyson Campbell can run. Right. You've got to be faster at cornerback, and I think they've made themselves a bit faster there.
Yeah, this defense is definitely going to have their hands full with this Lions offense this week. On the other side of the ball, of course, the Jaguars offense goes as Trevor Lawrence goes. And the past few weeks, Trevor Lawrence has been going. We saw him get hot at the end of last week's game. The big question with 16 is, can he keep that hot streak going into another week?
I'm going to tell you what, and we talked about this last time we did this. Remember the bad interception in London against the Broncos when he was supposed to throw it to the pylon. If it wasn't there, get rid of it. And he made the bad throw. That really stuck with him. That hurt him. It bothered him. He really thought, gosh, I've let everybody down, and he's such a good guy. Since that play, he was a little tentative the rest of the Broncos game. But since that play in that game, he has been lights out. He is a really good player. I can't wait to see what we see in Trevor Lawrence, not just the rest of this season, but as his career goes on here. He's fun to watch, and he's playing at a great level right now.
Now, one of the things that really impressed me late in the Ravens game is that he was able to do it without probably his most dangerous playmaker on the field. Travis Etienne missed the majority of the game last week. Etienne should be a go this week on Sunday, which is a big lift for the Jaguars running game and in the passing game, because that's the one spot where he really hasn't been unleashed yet, but he still has the skills to kind of grow.
Yeah, I think he probably could have gone back into the game last week. I think there was a lot of talk that Travis Etienne, the foot was sore, but I don't think they thought it was injured. It was just about him. They talked to him a little bit. He wanted to go back into the game. So I think there was a belief, Jamal, that he could have played. I keep saying this, be careful with him. He's such a prized commodity, and he matters so much. I'm glad they didn't put him back in, but I think you'll see him. He should be a full go this week.
There's no reason to risk him right now because a setback or any sort of major setback with him would set the team back considerably.
No question.
We saw Zay Jones step up big last week. He made a lot of plays, including the game-winning play for the Jaguars. Somebody else is going to have to step up this week. That's just the nature of the beast in the NFL. We've seen Christian Kirk do it. We saw the big grab from Marvin Jones. Is it time for Evan Ingram to really make his presence felt out on the football field?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of Evan this week. Zay Jones, I was a bit on the injury report, but Zay had the big game last week. What we know is this. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram were brought here to be weapons for Trevor. And Evan hasn't had the big game yet. Christian had it 2 weeks ago. Zay had it last week. So I think this could be the time Evan has a big game. But you got to use them all, man. I think you could see Dan Arnold some. I think he's a very good pass-catching tight end. Marvin Jones Jr. made some big catches, of course, the biggest catch last week. So I think we're starting to see now that Trevor's developing a comfort level and a confidence level with all these guys. And I think that's what it takes. The teams that are really good, the quarterback is confident and comfortable with all the guys. And I think you're starting to see that. I really do.
All right, Frank. I know this team is still a long way out from playoff contention, but the pieces could come together. But in order for you to really get the feeling and have any sort of confidence that this team can go on a run, they have to take the second step and win the games that they should win. You feel like this is a game that they probably should win this week. Do you think the team is ready to take that step?
You know, I've got a responsibility here, Jamal, okay? As I've told you before, when I started picking them to lose is when they started winning. So even if I think they might win, which I might think, I'm going to pick them to lose because as long as I do that, they keep winning. I'm doing this for the team. I'm doing this for the city. I'm doing this for you. That's what I'm doing. So I'm picking the Lions because I'm trying to help the Jaguars win. How's that? How'd I do?
I like it. Hey, look, selfless. The selfless Frank Frangie there. I'm going to go the opposite way. I am going to pick the Jaguars here. I think this is a game that they should win, and I think they will win. I expect another big game from Trevor Lawrence. I'm thinking it should be a more than 30-point outburst here because that Lions defense isn't real great, but I think their offense will score some points. We'll have to see if the Jaguars can make it 2 in a row, which would make it a fun next week as they get ready to head to Nashville to take on the Titans. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. This is a big game this week. Frank, thanks for being here, and thank you at home for tuning in. That'll do it for Teal the Show. Good night, and go Jags.